I love Google Keep. I use this in my personal life as well as my professional life. I encourage my students to use it. I encourage my own children to use it so that we can create and share and collaborate together. And that's what all of the Google Suite tools are about, are creating, sharing, and collaborating. So before we begin, I have a quick question for you. Let me know in the chat box if you have a million Post-it notes all over your desk, or are you the type of person like me who writes notes down just to be able to cross them out? Yes, I figured. And so it's Google Keep to the rescue. I still do use my paper planner and my pencils and my Post-it notes, but Google Keep does this digitally. It is a place for you to take notes and to be able to share and to collaborate even and to check things off. So if you're like me in those ways, you are going to love Google Keep. To get there, I can go one of two ways. I can, just like every other Google tool, type the name of the tool followed by .google.com. So it would just be keep.google.com, or it is in the waffle. So I hope you encourage your students to use this as well. And so here is Google Keep. Google Keep is not only a web-based tool, it is also an app that you can put on any device. So I have Google Keep on my computer. I can log into it on the app on my cell phone or my iPad. And as long as I'm logged into all of those places with the same email address and password, I can have these notes everywhere I go. Trust me, guys, this is life-changing. So if you look at my Keep, and I should not have cleaned this out last week, I had to organize it. It's just a place for me to add all of these little Post-it notes. But trust me, these are powerful Post-it notes. For example, when I click on Take a Note, first of all, I can give it a title. So I'm going to make, my famous to-do list. And then notice I can write here. So what are some things that I want to do? Maybe I need to buy milk, and maybe I need to finish grading because those grades are due. Finish grading. Maybe I want to read my book. Maybe I want to do laundry. Maybe I need to play a game or do my puzzle. Okay, so I've just added a couple of things here on my list. And there is an easier way to do the checkboxes in a second, but if you look on this little more icon that we see, I can even come in and show the checkboxes for this note. So now it has made this into that infamous to-do list. So I can, once I've finished, I can go ahead and check them, and notice how it puts them down under the completed items. So if I look up at the menu along the bottom of my list, here are some other things I can do. I can set a notification. Maybe I want it to remind me later today, and I can even change that time. I can pick a date and time. When do I want it to remind me? Maybe this afternoon. Do I want this to repeat? So my daughter has a note on there that reminds her every morning, or especially every week, to take her library book to school. So you can actually save this and make it, it would pop up on my phone or on any device that I was logged into to give me that reminder. Another thing that I can do with this, whoops, sorry, I got click happy. Let me open that back up, is I can pick a place, and this is powerful because if you have your notification or your location services turned on your cell phone and you're walking around, when it's time, if you have a place or if you're near that place, it will actually give you a reminder. For example, if I choose Kroger Marketplace, when I'm near Kroger, near that specific Kroger, a pop-up would appear on my phone and remind me that I need to buy milk. So again, that only works if you have your GPS or your location services turned on. You could do the same thing with a library book. Maybe you want to add return book to your list and add the place, the public library. And whenever you drive by, a pop-up will appear and remind you. So just another fun feature. The next icon that I can see is I can add a collaborator. And oh my goodness, my husband is not so sure about this one, because if I add him as a collaborator to this list, it's going to appear in his Google Keep as well. And so now he is sharing the responsibility with me of buying milk and doing laundry. But let's think about that with your students as well. If you added them and collaborated on a note, you could help remind them of things. So maybe you needed to remind all of your students that they needed to read chapter 25 or take their midterm. So you can collaborate. A quick example of that is we are getting ready for our yearly Innovations for Learning conference. So I hope you all will register to come to that. It's going to be on July 27th, but I help plan that. So here's a task I have for my team in the morning. It's this blue note. And so I added all of the things that needed to be done between 6:30 a.m. and 7 a.m. And rather than my team having to come to me and say, what do I need to do, or try to find me, I added them all as collaborators. And so they could see the directions of what needed to be done, and they could check it off as they finished. So it allowed us to collaborate in real time and carry the list with us wherever we go on our phones. So the collaboration tool is phenomenal. Let me go back into my note I was working on. Oops. I'm getting click happy. Okay, so keep moving along the bottom. Okay, so we've talked about setting notifications, adding collaborators. The next thing I can do is actually change the color of my note. And while that might seem like a trivial thing, as my Keep fills up, I do keep my notes organized by color. For example, my work ones will be red, my personal ones will be yellow, my children, ones I've shared with them, are pink. So you can use this color system just to not only make your Google Keep appearance look nicer, but you can use it to organize as well. The next feature is you can add an image to this note. And by adding an image, so many different reasons why you might want to do this. Let's say that your students are in class and you have written out the agenda on your whiteboard, or maybe different notes. So they could quickly hold up their cell phone, snap a picture, and it would send it, or they could send it right into their Google Keep. So they have those notes when they go home. Other reasons you might want to add an image, maybe I saw something such as this poster and I wanted to keep it. So maybe I'm out somewhere and I just like it and I want to use that for inspiration later. So I can take a snapshot with my phone and it automatically goes across all of my devices. Another thing that you can do with this photo is, and I'm actually going to open up a new note to show this. I'm going to take a new note this time, but instead I'm just going to add my image. And I want to show you an image of a book, a passage. So I was reading a book and I wanted to remember this and use it in a research paper I was doing. So I just took a quick picture of it with my phone. And if I go to my More Now, notice I have an option that says Grab Image Text. So as long as it can read it, this does work with OCR, or optical character recognition. And look, it transcribed it right in my note. It should do the same thing with this image. I have the option to come down to the three dots and click Grab Image Text. And it has now read that text from the photo and put it right into my note. And this will come in handy with the feature I'm going to show you in a few minutes. Okay, so that's adding an image. The next option I have is to archive. And archiving notes is important. I just spent some time doing this yesterday because your list of notes is infinite in size, so I could scroll down and add as many as I want, but I like to keep current things on top. So if you archive a note, it doesn't delete it unless you trash it, but notice my archive comes over here. So now I can go into archive and find all of the notes that I've already finished with, but maybe I want to hold on to them. For example, that IFL list, I save it every year. I just reopen it and edit it for the following year or for the current year. I'll go back to my notes now. So with my notes, let's see, I think we're almost finished with the features. Yes, come on. Okay, so the last thing I did not talk about with this part are the 3 dots. So let's just take a quick peek inside. Here's where I would delete my note. The next thing you can do is add a label. And adding labels are another way to help you organize. So if I added a label to this and maybe I wanted it to be book notes, and I have now created a new label. And you can add a note to as many different labels as you would like. But when I close this, you'll see my labels appear over here on the side. So here you can look at the little tag in front of it, and that will show you those are your labels. So maybe I want to go look at all my Christmas notes. I take anytime somebody mentions something for Christmas, even if it's in January, I might add it to a note. Or maybe I want to look at tags, at labels just for notes I've created for IFL. Or for, I can do this for any note that I want to create. So those are labels. You can also add drawings to your notes. And this is lots of fun because sometimes you don't want to write. Sometimes you feel inspired to draw. So notice that you have the ability to do that. You can just draw away. You can even do different markers, highlighters. You can even add different backgrounds. So maybe you wanted to write it out on a ruler paper, or maybe you felt like graphing, or my daughter uses this one for bullet journaling. So just to let you know that the drawing feature is in there as well. You can make a copy of this note. And so that's what I do with checklists that I use a lot. I'll make a new copy and just update them, and I can use them for just whenever I need to have them, and that I can only edit the ones I need to. My last option is I can copy this to Google Docs. And so I want to show you the power of this. So I'm going to just jump into a Google Doc right now. And this same thing is true with slides and calendar. You can access Google Keep. And if you'll notice, it appears over here on the right-hand side. I have icons for calendar, an icon for Keep, and an icon for tasks. If you don't see this when you open up Google Docs, there's a little arrow right here in the bottom corner next to my Explore feature that allows me to pop that side panel out. So if I click on this little Keep icon, it opens up Keep right here inside of my Google Doc. And this is important for so many ways. Let's say I was grading a student paper and I noticed I was typing the same comments over and over and over. You could actually add all those comments over here in your Keep, and then you could just drag and drop them into your Google Doc. Or maybe I added a link to my Keep before, and I thought, hey, this would really help my student expand their learning. So I can say add to document, and it added that link wherever my cursor was. So I probably should have put that out to the side. So I could even come in and make a comment, and then I could add that to my document and put it over in my comment and ask my students to visit that link to help expand their learning or to help expand their thoughts. So that's one way. Another way you could use this is students do it all the time. They'll take a note or an image of the teacher's notes off their whiteboard, transcribe the notes into text, and then insert that into their Google Doc, into their notes, and then they could fill that out even further. So I just wanted to let you know that Keep does have integration into Docs. Same thing with Google Slides. I use that a lot for images. We were working with a digital scavenger hunt last week, and so the students went out with their phones or with their Chromebooks, and they took images of the things they found, and then they came back, opened up a collaborative slide deck, and they could, with the click of a finger, with a click of a button, insert those images directly into that collaborative slide deck. So it has so many uses. And the last thing about Google Keep is that there is a Chrome extension for Google Keep. So if you go to the Chrome Web Store, I always forget the address, so I'm just going to Google it. Oh, there we go, chrome.google.com, and search for the extension Google Keep. So, and then you would add this extension. And so it appears up here. I have a lot of extensions, and it looks like this. It's this, it's the same icon, the little yellow square with the light bulb. So let's say that I'm on a site such as this, and I wanted to add this link because I'm constantly emailing myself links that I want to go back and revisit if I'm on Twitter or a blog post. So my email gets filled up very quickly, and I forget to go back and read them. So instead, when I'm on this website, I can click on Save to Keep, and it now is going to add that link to my Google Keep, a Post-it note, and I can even take a note about it. Let's see, read later for ideas. I can even give it a label here as well. And so that is now saved. When I go back to Google Keep, here is that link that I just added from the Chrome extension with my note. So I could even then embed this in a Google Doc or share it with someone else, maybe a coworker. Hey, read this, it's a great idea. So Google Keep can be used for so many reasons. I had a private question about why do I have these little notes on here? I saw this on Twitter, and I'm going to share these with you in a second as well. They were just headers. So a teacher made this as an image, and then I just added them in as a checkbox note so that I could come in now and help organize my life a little bit more. So I knew that when I need to get home today, I need to change the laundry. Or I knew that some things I needed to do today, a reminder, maybe I needed to plan. I need to plan for our Keep PD. And so I could just quickly select these little photos and add lists under them. And so I tried it this year, and it worked great because I could visually see these bold topics. Okay, what questions do you have about Keep? I see one about should we download the app? And yes, I recommend if you're going to use Keep, download the app and log into it with the same email address and password. I use my school email, and that is okay. This is on our data sharing agreement. And I encourage my students to download the app and log in with their email. That way we can share items back and forth between my students and myself, or my coworkers and myself. I should probably be putting my groceries and my home notes in my personal account, but I'll be honest, I live in this world. I live in this account all the time. So just having those two headers for my personal notes makes my workflow a lot easier. What other questions do you have about Keep? Oh yes, the picture headings. Oh, thank you for reminding me. So on this slide deck, this 10 things about Google Keep, if you scroll all the way to the bottom, excuse me, here is the link to the Google Drive folder. And so you have viewing permissions. So when you open that up, if you want one of those, you just right click on it and make a copy. So open it up and make a copy, and then you can add those to your own Google Drive. And here's, this is the person that created them, her blog, Hello Tech Lady, and she put these out there for anyone to use. So thank you so much for doing this for that. Yes, and let me go back to the link to this presentation. And it's right here, bit.ly 10 on Keep.